world is going on?
Good morning, everybody. This is Nate Manahan live from Indianapolis, Indiana. It's going to be an incredible day. This is Thursday, April 30th. We've made it through April. May 1st is tomorrow. We are all prepared to have great things happen. In fact, we're celebrating so much. We have a special guest that I'll just let appear here in a moment. But we have so much fun that we're going to have over the next couple of minutes. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about youth sports because we always do, and talk about what that loss has been, all kinds of things about that. We're going to talk about POS Elite and Lite and a lot of other things in between. This is the High Five.
The time has come, the questions are said, opinions hide, discussions are led, a show about nothing and everything, it's all the same. We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing. It's time for the High Five. We've got it all
right,
covered.
your mic's
It's time for the
live.
High Five.
And they all heard me.
We've got it all covered. Yeah. The High Five.
All right. Can you believe all the things that are going to go on today? But let me first introduce our wonderful cast of characters. We're going to start out in Colorado in the Rocky Mountains, where the Rocky Mountain High is so relevant right now. Everybody's having fun on the golf courses. And, well, the elk, well, they love their man, Mr. Danny Shar. Danny, in the lower corner, how are you, Mr. Danny?
Good morning, High Five Nation. Good to be back. A little hiatus yesterday. I missed you all.
All right, and now in the upper left-hand corner as we look at the screen, the man, the myth, the legend, the one who's led the Lincoln Lions to the amazing record of 6,222 wins and 0 losses. He is the undefeated champion of all of our hearts, Mr. Brian Linky. How are you, Brian?
Okay, I'm so much better now, Nate, after that introduction. You have no idea. And today is the last day of April, right? So any partner that's listening, let's get some deals in.
Let's do it. All right, and in the upper right-hand corner, making this picture a lot better, making things things are going to be better today just because there is a person who makes all life better. You hear her on the phone. She takes care of your problems. She makes things go away. She makes Brian Blinky look a lot better than he really should. And she is the co-head coach of the Lincoln Lions basketball team. That's really why she's a star, Miss Jenn Sales. How are you, Jen?
Good morning, everyone. I'm great today.
Welcome to the High Five. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, but here's the thing. You got to get in loud. Don't let Brian cut you off, and we're going to have lots of fun today, right? I mean, so this is going to be fun. We're going to talk about 5 topics. So, Jen, before you get started, are there any words of wisdom you should give to Brian and Danny as they try to, well, there's not going to look as good today.
No, they're not. It's great to be here. I'm excited to, be a part of the High Five, and, hopefully I have a lot better answers than they ever do. And I do want to say this to all the ladies in the house. It's about time that you guys get to see a lady, and let's talk about some hair and some nails, and that we can't go shopping. We can't hide our packages from our husbands. It's a dilemma. So I'm happy to be here to support all the women out there today.
Oh, we got to step our game up. We can't compete.
Yep.
We can't compete.
Something so needed.
So wait a minute. So is Jenn Sales the first female that we've had?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, this is a historic day. It's an historic day.
It is.
Well, let's jump right in because we're going to get into our first topic. The first topic is the role of youth sports in our society. I know for myself, my son's seasons were cut off right in the middle. They didn't get to finish some of their basketball season. The swimming season for my daughters just gone. There's no cross-country season and track season for my sons. And we're just seeing all kinds of different things. Baseball season, who knows if that's going in. I know the Little League around here still says they're going to start around May 11th. I just can't imagine that right now. But youth sports play such an integral place in our society. They build character. They build competence. They challenge us. So let's start here. Why is youth sports so important to us in the U.S. society and really to our culture and really is the baseline? Do you agree with that? And why do you think that?
Well, we should let the lady go first.
Oh, look at that. Chivalry.
I'll just say this. So 3 years ago, I got involved in heavily in youth sports, and I never played it as a child. And so, I really didn't know my daughter played, but I really wasn't involved. So I have learned a lot from watching youth sports and what these kids go through. And you're right, Nate, it builds character. The biggest thing I've seen is that through this shutdown and through the quarantine, I have seen my kids become lazy, not motivated, just don't know what to do every day. And I think that youth sports connects them, makes them realize that they are great as a team. They need each other. They feed off each other. It gives them a purpose. It makes them tired at the end of the day so that they're not out doing crazy things. And my boys, they're bored. They're sleeping all day, up all night, and youth sports needs to be there for them. There are parents out there who do give it their all and make sure that their kids are doing things, but then there's parents who are busy or they just didn't play sports themselves, and so they don't really know how to do it, and they just don't know how to push their kids. And they have to have it. They have to have it. It keeps them going. It keeps them positive. It teaches them life. Not being in sports, I'm a pretty go-getter. Nothing stops me. I go for what I want. And to see the reverse of that and what sports does and what sports leads kids to understand is shocking to me that sports is that important in a person's life and role to teach them later in life how to handle life.
Okay. I just want to say, I think we maybe just should stop talking because, Jen, that was the best answer we've ever had on this show.
Ever. Okay. Next question.
So, I mean, I'm going to say, and great job to some of the coaches that are around my kids. Like my son has 5 days a week has workouts over Zoom with the track team. My daughters are both having Zoom workouts for swimming, and they're going out and jogging and things. And the coaches are doing the best they can. But there's a gaping hole and a missing hole right now. Brian, when you look at, you obviously, the king of youth sports. You've been doing it for over 150 years, both in playing and coaching. So can you tell us, what have you seen there changes in all those years since it's been over a century?
Well, for one thing, let me just start by saying, 3 years ago, I was retired. Right, I brought my boys through. I've been coaching them from T-ball from the time they were 5, 6 years old all the way through, and now I've got a 22-year-old. I was going to be 23 this summer, and I've got a 28-year-old that's going to be 29 this summer, or actually 29 in May. So I've seen a lot. And again, the gal who's on our call right now, comes walking across the hall and asked me to go over to the gym and shoot the basketball with her kids. It's not a big deal. Next thing you know, we're playing in tournaments, and I'm there for 13 hours. So, but I guess the answer to your question is, and I've told Danny this before, because Danny's got a 2-year-old, he's got one on the way, and the one thing that I will say, the one bit of advice that I will say, if you're not involved with your kids, if you're not involved with some type of extracurricular activity, just know that you'll never get that back. You'll never get that time back. So if you miss, and again, I get it. The stakes obviously get higher as the kids get older. But is that really what it's about? I've never been a big believer in, because you're, my kid's not going to play in the NBA. I can tell you this. Thanksgiving, Christmas, when my boys are together with me, the memories that we've had from those days, are something that I will take to my grave, because they're just so special. And again, if I have any advice, and now with the Lions, I told myself, and I've told Jenn this, I've told myself, I'm not going to get attached to these kids. Right, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to roll the ball out there, and I'll, blah, 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 blah. Well, it didn't happen, right? Because I'm as attached to this group of kids as I was to the group. It's a little bit different for me just because my boys aren't out there, but I'm not sure it's better or worse, but I can tell you that, again, these are memories that I'll never forget.
I mean,
it's really hard being last in this panel. Okay. First of all, Jenn Sales cannot go first anymore. It's just not fair. And so I'll do my best to contribute to this, but you guys really hit the nail on the head. And, for me, growing up, it was all sports, right? I mean, I played every sport that I could. It was soccer, it was basketball, it was baseball, it was football, it was golf. I never got into tennis or anything like that. But those were the thing. And I was busy all the time in sports. And my parents sacrificed so much, taking me to every practice and every event. And I can still hear my mother screaming in the bleachers. And I'd just be like, Mom, stop, right? It was just almost annoying. But looking back on it, I love it. It's just, I wouldn't have it any other way. So she was so supportive, but both my parents were. They were always there and helping me. And looking back on it, though, it's more than just sports, right? It taught me a lot when I was growing up, and the importance of a team and being there for your team and relying on your team was huge. It's taught me a lot going into my professional career that I don't think I would be if I didn't grow up with youth sports like I did. So it's huge. We win it back.
Great answer.
Definitely.
We do. And
I tried.
and it's something that we look for all the time. When you're hiring someone, when you're booking team members, I always ask, did you do youth sports? What things were you involved with? And it doesn't even mean whether you're competitive, and it doesn't have to be a sport with a ball. But those who do extracurricular activities, who are involved in those, they have built skills earlier in life than if they had just simply stayed at home and played video games. I'm going to ask one last question in this because a couple of weeks ago, I think probably 4 weeks ago, we had Paul Kent on, and we asked him the question about eSports because we knew he was big into gaming. Jen, I know your kids are into gaming, or your boys.
Yes.
What do we think about eSports, and is it trying to replace youth sports, and do we have to be careful with that? But are there benefits of eSports and what's happening in some of the e-gaming that's going on?
So an example the other day, the boys have been staying up all night long and playing, is it N2K? No, N2K. So they've got this big basketball thing going on. They play each other, They're staying up all night. They're sleeping all day, and they're all doing it. So all my Lions 8th graders are doing it. They're all in this basketball thing tournament going on. Okay, so that's, at least they're playing a sports game, right? So yes, the other day they were coming back at 9:00 from the gas station, and I was like, boys, how about we play some basketball? They looked at me and said, we are in a minute. We're going to go in our basements and play each other. So I pulled the truck up, turned the headlights on, and said, no, we're going to play some real basketball. So 2 hours of basketball in the driveway. They were too tired to go in and play their NBA game. But anyways, yes, I believe that during this quarantine that video games is getting extremely popular. I have a son, my 14-year-old, who that's all he wants to do. And it has been a struggle for 3 years to push him to do other things, to stay active. I myself don't like the video games. If I was to turn back time, I would not have them in my house or have a limited amount, just because it's easy. It's easy to do on a daily basis. It takes away kids' imagination. And so I'm not one that's for it. I have them in my house. I let them play them, but get them outside, get them playing sports, whatever it is, running down the road. That's how I feel about that.
I partially agree with that, with the the going back. I didn't grow up playing a lot of video games, and I think what you mean by easy is it's just easy to sit there.
It is.
And just and press the buttons. I'll tell you, those games aren't easy though. I've tried to play my nephews; they're freaking hard.
I can't even play Mario Kart.
Yeah. But before you jump to the next topic, Nate, shout out to the coaches, right? The coaches who actually, and especially the coaches that don't have a kid on the team. Like Brian said, growing up coaching your kids, and Jen, you just getting into coaching with your kids. I don't remember having a coach that had a kid on the team. And looking back on it, it's like, wow, look at everything that they sacrificed, right? They're coming to deal with these kids that aren't theirs. And these, little guys and girls are just, giving it to them. And they can spend their time doing some other things. But even the parents that are not just taking on coaching their kids, but coaching other kids. That's huge. Shout out to the coaches. Shout out to you guys with the good basketballs. And I got the little toy football here. I'm not feeling like I'm, she's got the real football now. Okay. I'm going to put my ball down. I'm done.
And I came to play today, boys. I came to play.
Just real quick. Let me just one last comment. I can tell you this, Dan, going on that comment. When we first started the Lions, I'll never forget our first game. My stomach was just, I was just tight. I was just tight. My assistant coach decided she needed to go to Starbucks before the game. And my scorekeeper was with her, and we're literally within 30 seconds, and they're still not there. And I was just tight, and I'll never forget. I thought to myself, okay, how am I going to be? Am I going to be just like, okay, my kids aren't out there, so am I just going to sit here and just watch the game and just kind of whatever? Well, let me tell you, it wasn't that, and it hasn't been since the very first game, and we've got Jenn Sales here to back me on that. So yeah.
So Nate, the kids need coaches. The video game's fun. The kids need coaches. They need direction.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, we are certainly seeing more. It has some community, but we don't know what what video games, what esports is going to do. All the colleges now have it. It's just an interesting thing. I think it's going to be, there's going to hopefully be a mix of people doing sports, and there are now coaches in these esports. We don't want to get too far into the deep of the slides in that because it's an interesting thing. I'm not a gamer, never have been, but my kids do play a little bit, but very, very controlled at this point. Now, going on to our second topic. It's one of my favorite times in the week when I get to pull out my Trivial Pursuit Sports Edition. And now I'm going to ask a few questions. Just a few of Mr. Brian Linke. Brian, are you ready?
Hey, what are my choices? Yeah, I guess. Yes.
All right, here we go.
What if we know the answer before he does? Do we get the answer first?
Absolutely, please.
All right, all right. These are totally random. I just pulled them out of the middle of the box.
Oh, boy.
All right. What leading linebacker suggested that the way to stop Jim Brown was to mug him on the way out of the locker room? No one's going to get that. Anyone?
Ray Nitschke.
Sam Huff. All right. Let's see. Who's the all-time leader in home runs among switch hitters?
Chipper Jones?
Chipper Jones is a good answer.
No, that was good.
But it's older. I forget it. I think Brian may have seen him. Maybe the only one who would possibly seen him play would be Brian.
Ted Williams?
Mickey Mantle.
A little before my time.
You see Mickey, Brian?
Yeah, a little before my time.
Yeah. I was just having some fun. All right. What former ABA team hosted the worst record in its first NBA season? Oh, that's a good question. Former ABA team, and it is in Bryans' neck of the woods.
The New Jersey Nets.
New Jersey Nets. There you go. Good job, Brian. All right, well, let's see.
How about that one?
That's
Jersey boys, man.
All right,
Julius Irving went to play for them, and they weren't so bad after that.
I bet.
Right.
All right, who or what can't an NBA team do after February 15th of every season? And now it's a rolling date, but
you can't make a trade.
Can't make a trade. All right, those are our questions today for our wonderful time of Stump the Link. And we don't stump him very often. We got one question where he didn't have an idea there. And now...
Okay. Nobody knows the answer to those questions.
All right. So it is a 1970s version of Trivial Pursuit. What can we say? All right. Number 3 today. So Jen and really everyone other than myself are on queues, and I'm the last person on a couple of queues that it can actually get to me. But we answer customer service calls. We support partners that are selling across the country. So we help them support their merchants, and we do customer service all the time. And kind of want to ask some questions here about customer service. And so I'm going to start with you, Jen. Jen, can you tell me when a person is calling in to get your support and they're looking for help from you, what are things that are helpful to actually letting them help? As I think Jerry Maguire famously said, help me help you. So how can you be more helpful by people coming in the right way? What are some things that are tips when they're getting customer service phone calls?
So a big one, everybody always calls in and says, where's my money? Where's my deposit? Or I'm not getting my money for the last 2 days. So that's a very blanket statement. And, I tell agents or customers, it really would be helpful if you guys would give me the amount that they're missing, the date that it happened, and what time did your batch go through. So that's very easy by just asking the merchant for a simple copy of their settlement report showing all those details. And when I call into the processor to get that information, it's that quick if I have all that information. So knowing how much and what dates they're missing and if their terminal did batch out is very simple information that gets you the answer very quickly. Now, I don't always know that answer. Sometimes I have to call in, but that's a big one. I mean, that's probably a big question throughout my days every day is where's my money?
Those are some being prepared when you make a customer service call makes all of our lives easy, and it's true in everything. Don't just say and complain, but actually have the data to back up what's going on, because it'll go so much faster when you're not asking the customer service person to go and look everything up. So anything that you have that information for, no matter what you're calling, that whether it's the proof of something that you need help with or just the backup support, so you say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for. Man, that makes stuff go so faster. Danny, for you've been doing this for a long time. What are things that you see with partners when they're calling in that would help them so much just to get their answers faster?
And I'm kind of flipping this to the sales side of it. I find myself having a lot of strategy calls with partners and trying to help them identify, how they can board certain types of merchants. And I think it's, for me to help them is letting me know the entire scope of the opportunity. Because what I end up finding is I'm having conversations with partners that I'm only getting, a third of the information that they know. They're just not sharing it with me, right? And so as we're trying to identify solutions and price points and different ways that we can approach the merchant with all the different options that we've got, you got to know it. You got to know everything that they know so you can better help them. So for me to help me help you, right? Jerry Maguire also said, show me the money. So that relates more to me. I think it's just giving us the entire big picture, the whole scope of everything that they know so we can better help them.
And Brian, what do you see? You see a lot of failures. I know people calling in and you're just like, man, how important it is that even as frustrated as we are in the most difficult times when we're calling in customer service, to not get angry and overheated, no matter who you're calling, whether you're calling Comcast or you're calling us or you're calling, what do you say? Rule number one, don't panic. And how much does that help actually get the things you need done?
That's a great question, and I think Jen's probably a better person to ask this question to. But I will tell you, when you're calling, just be an adult, be professional, because that's what we are, right? And we get it. We're dealing with agents who have problems. We're dealing with merchants who have problems. So to keep an even keel and try to try to have a professional conversation, know that we're here to help you, not hurt you. We're here to help you. I think that makes it so much better. And I've become so much better in my personal life on the phone with a lot of these people, even though you talk to people and you can tell that they want you to get angry. I mean, I'm telling you, it's the more you think about it and the more calls you make to, I don't know, doctors' offices or whoever, and you can just tell that the people on the other line want to get you angry or raise or think that you're going to be angry. And then when you're not and you're just professional and you're polite and you're an adult, I think it just goes a long way.
Two things I took out of that real quick. First of all, Nate, you had said, Brian, I know you've seen a lot of failures, so I'm gonna have to use that in future conversations. Also, I just have to say, yesterday I missed the high five, and to miss the 7 rules. I'm kicking myself for missing that one. That's an episode of all the high five episodes we've done. I don't know what number we're on, 50 something. I don't know. To miss that episode, I'm hurt and I want to do it again.
We'll do it again. And I will tell you, if we're going to talk about that real quick, I will tell you this. Dan, you were definitely missed, no doubt about it. We had to move fast, right? We had to
pivot. You had to pivot. You're doing what right.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Nate Manahan did an amazing job as my sidekick, if you will, on that, because he added a lot of I don't know, they weren't answers, but he had a lot to the conversation to spin it more in a sales role, I guess. So thanks, Nate.
You're welcome. I'm just going to sit back here quietly as you sing my praises. I appreciate that.
Shout out, Nate Manahan.
All right. It was a great episode. If you haven't seen that episode, it is available, all of our episodes, if you can search them. In fact, one of the best ways is we're now posting them to Instagram TV, where each of the 5 sections, and then we're sharing them across. So we're breaking up each one of these sections. It takes us a couple hours to do that. But it's a great way to watch it in smaller bits, because those of you who are watching, there's almost 130 of you right now. You don't watch the whole time, I know, because we're long-winded, because I'm going to have one follow-up question on our customer service question. Jen, what advice would you give? Because every partner you work with that's calling you for customer service also should and better be providing great customer service to the merchants that they're representing and helping. So what happens often is, instead of them de-escalating with the merchant, they escalated even more to you, and the anger just keeps getting more. So what advice would you give to those who are talking to the merchants first to help them when the merchant is frustrated, flabbergasted, doesn't understand, to help de-escalate the situation in order to get things done and actually be fruitful?
So every customer service job I've probably ever had, I've had a sticky note on my computer that says, let them talk first. Don't interrupt. So I have learned that you let them yell, you let them get it all out of their system. The whole time you're listening, you're taking deep breaths, and you're listening to what they have to say. Then you come back to them in a calm, soothing voice. They're going to come back at you again, and you go back to them with a calm, soothing voice. When you call me and you're yelling at me and you're mad at me, I'm going to come at you with a calm, soothing voice, because you yelling at me, if I'm going to yell back at you, we're not getting anywhere. So just remember, when that merchant is calling you, they're mad. Where's their money? Their machine isn't working. Their life is just disrupted at that moment in time. It's their money. You just take a deep breath, you just relax, and you let them complete that screaming fit, and you come back to them. And eventually that call is going to come down, and it's going to be a reasonable phone call to have.
It's a great answer.
Really good.
That is absolutely why Jen is a rock star when it's with our partners, and everybody is always amazed at how much she's helpful, because that's a great answer, isn't it, guys?
The thing is, she's got a soothing voice with the partners and the merchants, but she yells at me with no problem.
Oh, all right. Moving on to number 4. So this goes in. We just talked about customer service, but I'm intrigued about the advice. You know, we can't give all the advice. There's so many things we want our partners to know. There's so many things when they're coming to work with us for the first time, or they've been here and with us for the whole 20 or 15 years that PayProtect has existed. We wish they would know a lot of things, but I asked each one of these team members of mine to come along and tell us the one thing that they wish every partner would know.
I'm going first.
All right. Brian Linke. See, I'm taking the chance that everybody's going to steal. I will go last. Brian?
Well, okay, and mine's an easy one, okay, because again, I've got, we're all salespeople, so I've got, learn how to use the back office, okay, learn how to get on the hub and look at your residuals, look at your merchants, it's all there. Your whole portfolio, if you've got bonuses that are getting bought, it's all there. And if you don't know how to maneuver around, and again, I'm sure that I know that I don't know how to use it, from A to Z, but I know how to use it enough to at least look at my portfolio and what my merchants are doing on a daily basis. And so if I had one bit of advice, one thing is get familiar with the back office. And if you don't know how to maneuver around, get a hold of me, get a hold of Jen, and we will be more than happy to help you with it.
No matter what, your great answer, Brian, because no matter what you're doing in life, you absolutely need to know the tools that are already at your disposal to get things done. Stop being lazy, get off the couch, go do it. And our partners, we love you to death, but there are things that you're spending 20-minute phone calls, and we know you love listening to Jen's voice, that you could have had done in 30 seconds by yourself. And there are times for you to be prepared.
Dan, let me ask you this. Before we had I was trying to remember this before the call, but what was it called before we had the back
Agent
office
Info
we have
Center.
now? It was that never worked.
Agent Info Center.
Agent Info Center, right? And again, with that, I don't know. For me, it never worked. This now, again, we've had a few hiccups with it, but for the most part, you can see just about everything. You can see all your merchants, you can see their batches, you can see their transactions, and most importantly, you can see your residual, and you can see what you've done for the last 12 months and what your merchants have done for the last 12 months. So yeah, get familiar with that.
All right, who's next?
Jen?
Okay. So we have an amazing website, mypapertech.com. Amazing videos, amazing information about everything that we do. What I want all of you to know is that you are salespeople. You can sell anything. You can sell custom app build. You can sell e-commerce. You can sell the terminals. Get in there. We are giving you all the information, all the tools to help you make money all the time, even in a quarantine situation like this. When I talk to every partner, I tell you guys, get in the mypapertech.com. We are all just sitting around doing nothing, and learn what we have to offer so that you can just sell all the time. I know getting on the phone is hard, and I know you don't want to call these people, but once we get out and walk around, I think every single person should talk about getting an app for their business. Everyone. I mean, if it's a little tiny boutique or a restaurant, I mean, that is just benefiting you all the time. So use mypapertech.com, watch the videos, look at the stuff, and get yourself out there selling. I mean, go for it. You can't lose.
Love it, Jen. I mean, what is so that we're trying, and if you don't see a tool that you need, then you go and ask, and we'll make sure it's there the next time so you can help it and pay it forward. And
Right.
So that's why those back offices, why those training tools, why we're trying to always make it easier for you to use and get to the information you want as fast as possible, but also to make sure you're better, more successful. So use those tools. I think Brian and Jen's are rarely connected to each other. We got in our world Payments Hub and knowing how to use mypapertech.com. How about you, Danny? What's up? Danny, you're muted.
You know, again, one of the issues of going third behind these two is you know, they've got some really good answers. And I mean, you know, it's tough not to mention the tools and portal capabilities that partners have access to, because, you know, there's so many advantages to all the different things that we make available. But you know, I'm empathetic to our partners, to every one of you out there, because there is a ton of information, right? And, you know, you're out in the field, you're talking to these merchants, you don't have time to go dig into a portal. That's why you've got us. That's why we've got a support team. But so knowing your tools, knowing what's available to you is hugely important. But you know, that's why you've got a team here to help as well. I'm going to say knowing all of the solutions available to you. I think that's key. I find a lot of times that partners are still stuck doing, or I should say, selling 1, 2, maybe 3 options, right? From a solution standpoint, whether it's, you know, a mobile reader, a terminal, or maybe even starting to dabble in a POS system, but don't really have the full scope of everything that we've got. And I think that's key to helping yourself be more diversified and close more business, because you've just got more options that you can talk to merchants about in different ways that you can help them be more efficient. So mine's going to be know your options, know your fleet of solutions, so you can sell better.
I think those are great, Danny.
And I just add to that, and I think that there's a lot of our partners, you know, when I'm talking, and I talk to partners every single day, that you know, I think that's what separates Paper Tech from a lot of companies, is the fact that we've got all these things and we have the support behind it. So if in fact you don't know how to maneuver around mypapertech.com or the partner portal or whatever it is, you know, you can call, you can email. We're here to help you. And again, I think that just differentiates us from a lot of different companies, that a lot of our competitors.
I totally agreed. And so I'm going to add my last thing. And here's any partners that ever talk to me will know that I'm always encouraging them, Try to figure out how you can look long term. I understand there are a lot of our partners, especially in this day and time, that we're always, trying to get to that next sale, but strategizing and trying to realize that this can be a 2-decade career. This can be something that you're building a longevity, you're building an asset, and you don't need to always grab the low hanging fruit. And so my advice is that the low hanging fruit is there because it's not the good stuff. The better fruit's up at the top of the tree. So figure out gradually, take the low-hanging fruit when you need to, but figure out a strategy to start going after upstream customers that are maybe doing more volume, have more complicated businesses. And those are the things that you use all the tools that were just mentioned to make sure you understand and learn your business and start thinking long-term instead of short-term. How can I get these 5 merchants where I could go and after a longer period of time, go after one merchant that's worth 10, 20, 30 of those one-off low-hanging fruit merchants. And so when you're working on that, it doesn't mean we don't help everyone else, but you start being able to think long-term, and that doesn't come easily, but you can do it day by day. As we finish up on this last topic before we do number 5, I am interested, what is the advice that you have heard from partners, or what have you heard from partners as the thing that they want the most right now, that is so that we can't wait till we're able to provide for them? And Danny, it's probably best for you in that. So, and I'm leading you into something, but I mean, what are we hearing from partners that they're so longing for and we're working on creating?
Same day funding, instant funding, and pay anywhere to work. and I'm telling you, all of those things pay anywhere is actually getting a lot better. Some huge improvements to it just over the last couple of weeks. And same day funding, instant funding are coming out soon. I mean, the thing is that I love about PayProtech and being a part of the NAB Holdings team is, we're always moving forward, but we're also always listening to our partners. So we know what's out there and what's going to help us be more competitive, and we're going to see it coming really soon. But I'm anxious to hear what's needed after these things are available, because we're going to hear about it.
Awesome. All right. Now it's time, as we just mentioned, a little bit of pay anywhere. It is time to talk about topic number 5, our POS Lite, as I like to refer to it. And the reason I call it POS Lite is there is a now moving to smart devices, just like we went from our dumb flip phones and even from our landlines to our cell phones. Every transition we get better. And now there are things we refer to as smart terminals. And we have that software then running on larger pieces. And we have Pay Anywhere can run on an E500, eventually an E800. It can run on the Flex device, which gives you 2 screens, is a little more heavier and gives you that beautiful experience on that E600. All these great things that come in. And so we have all these tools to be able to understand what they are. But what is the role of these things that I call POS Lite? Where is the right merchant? What are the right types of merchants that should be using these type of devices?
Jen?
Linky, go first.
No, I'm not going first.
Go first, Link.
No.
This is a really good question, Nate. And we talk about it often with partners, especially as you're coming on board and getting comfortable with the Pay Anywhere lineup, and when it's a good fit for a merchant. And really, the answer to that is it's a good fit for a merchant when they're currently using one of those flip phone devices. And when we say that, everybody, we're talking about the regular countertop, what Robert Kramer calls the dumb box, I think it is, or the dumb terminal. And it's literally just those devices where you push in a payment amount and dip the card and you're good to go. I think Pay Anywhere is the perfect upgrade to a merchant that still wants the simplicity of a device, but wants something new and fresh. Aesthetically, they look a lot better than the other terminals. They've got Wi-Fi options, and there's a lot more that you can do with these. But you don't have to get too deep into it, right? And it's one of those types of solutions that if you need more inventory control, receipt printing, kitchen printing, and more things like that, that's when you need to get into the POS Pros world and get into a bigger POS system. But just upgrading from that flip phone to that smartphone, and maybe you just still want to make calls, send text messages, and have a little bit more features than you did before. Get online, check your email, things like that. that's what that transition is for these merchants, into these smart terminals, right? A few more features, but still does the basics, and gives it a better look and feel for the business.
Well, I think also, Dan, I think what you're trying to say too is that, you always have to assume that the merchant doesn't know, right? So like if the merchant, so when you walk into somebody, I mean, you just have to know that they don't know. Even if they know, you have to assume that they don't know. So in order to bring them up to speed, again, and I'm a big believer in, you sell what they want to buy, right? But giving them choices is basically what we're doing here.
Right. It's our Wi-Fi solution now. So it's our, on the go solution.
And
so,
wireless. Yep. Absolutely.
Anyone who needs to have a terminal that needs to walk outside and take payments curbside and, has that 2-in-1 reader, 3-in-1 reader, that's our go-to product today.
Yep. And what I often find is partners and we all do, I think, overselling Pay Anywhere, right? Like obviously look at this and here it has the ability to do all of these things. But a lot of the additional features might not work exactly the way that they appear to, right? Like the inventory control features, like the ability to do barcode scanning. You can absolutely do it. It's just a little bit tougher. Uploading inventory is not as easy, especially when compared to dealing with like a Paradise or a Hot Sauce or a Retail Cloud or a Vend. Because you're able to just send that spreadsheet and everything's pre-programmed in for you, and it's very simple. Pay Anywhere is getting there. We're going to see a lot of improvements to it, but I think one of the mistakes partners often are doing is overselling it. So try to learn this product because it's getting better, and it's just about solution fitting. Like every product is that we have, we got to make sure it's the right fit for the merchant that's going to do what they need it to do.
Right. Inventory right now with Pay Anywhere is about 1,500 items. So if if you have items above that, then it's not the right solution for you. You definitely need to talk to our POS. I mean, it can hold 3,000, but on the calls that I've been in the last 5 days is that it starts to get funny after about 1,500. So you want to remember that if you have a merchant who has a lot of inventory, you just kind of need to move away from it. But otherwise, the Pay Anywhere solution is good for anyone unless it's like a big restaurant.
Yep.
I think what's interesting about Pay Anywhere is that it has really good places that it's good for. And so it's probably important just to know some of the things that it absolutely doesn't do at this point. And so it doesn't do over 1,500 inventory. It doesn't do very complex reporting like a lot of usually if you have 1,500 or more SKUs, you have certain reporting that you want, and it's not going to be able to do some of those things that it's able to do at this point. What are a couple of other things that it doesn't do that's important to know that helps with solution fitting and making sure that a Pay Anywhere, these new POS Lite devices aren't put in the wrong situation, causing frustration to the merchant?
Well, I've had a few questions recently of the login situation. So a lot of people are asking for a PIN number, like instead of using a username and password. I'm not really sure how you log. I mean, I don't know if the POS like Paradise and that stays on longer or you don't have to log in all the time, but there's some frustrations with that. So if they need easy login or that's a frustrating thing for that certain merchant, that might be something you want to steer away from because you have to always put your email and user and password in all the time.
Yeah, and that is a feature. What happens in those features is, and on a POS, it just auto logs out, but it's a quick code or a card swipe that you can get into. And in POS Lite, you're actually right now it's the back end software, so you're using username and password a lot of times to manage the password. They're working on changing that, but you can't make quick changes back and forth from users like you can in a full POS, where you're able to just people can stand in line, type in their number, swipe their card, however they're choosing to do it, and boom, they're going from user to user, and you can have all that tracking and then that reporting. Pay Anywhere doesn't do that, and so If you're looking for that, you're not going to be able to do those features. Any other ones that you guys hear that it just doesn't have, and that frustrates merchants?
So I mean, Nate, that's a great point, though. I mean, so if you have a merchant that's running, just with a VX520, you just have to make sure that they're aware that it's just I don't know, is user friendly the right word or the right phrase? I'm not sure, but I just think you just need to make sure that you're selling what your merchant wants to buy.
Yep.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, and you guys stole mine again, but I'll expand on it a little bit, which is the login part of it. And it's more along like server IDs, right? You can have this little cafe or smaller restaurant with 5 servers. And we've got a lot of partners that have gone into the back office and created user IDs specific for those individuals. But you're right, Jen. I mean, although the capability's there, without having the ability to go to a 4-digit PIN system. So as one server takes a transaction and logs out, the other server comes back in and can put their PIN and go. They're having to type in that email address every time, and it just takes a little bit longer. So I do know that that's on the roadmap for Pay Anywhere, but that's one of the bigger pieces that's keeping us out of places like that too. Whereas on a simple terminal, you've got the server ID capability, right? So it prompts to enter, with Deja Vu, you can go up to 100 or as many as you want. The server puts in server 4 and runs a transaction. They have a server report. We just don't have that quite yet with Pay Anywhere. So a few of the kind of basic things that we see on terminals still aren't available with it, but then there's a lot of advantages to it as well.
And I want to say something really quick about the 2-in-1 readers and the 3-in-1 readers that I learned yesterday. It is not just the simple step of connecting Bluetooth to the 2-in-1 reader when you have an iPhone. So Pay Anywhere has a YouTube video site. Okay, you type in Pay Anywhere in YouTube. Anything you want to know about their equipment is there. There are 2 videos, one to connect to an Android, one to connect to an iPhone. I myself did not know that there was a difference between the 2 or that it was the process that it was. So go to Pay Anywhere's YouTube, find how to connect the 2-in-1 to both systems, and you will be surprised, and it'll make life a lot easier. I mean, on the calls that we're having with Pay Anywhere, that is the number one call they get, is they cannot connect the 2-in-1 and 3-in-1. So to all the partners that are listening today, there is a video that shows you exactly how to do it. So simple and easy. Just check that out for when you get those 2-in-1 and 3-in-1s.
That's great advice right there. And that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is make sure you place the right thing and the simple things that just make life easier. So if you pre-tell them, because even though there are often directions and they're told to go do those things, we as people don't like to follow directions unless somebody's hovering over our shoulder. And so being as a partner, helping your merchant help that, because Vicky said she's got in a jewelry store, a paint shop, a computer fix-it business, says not simple, but definitely doable. Well, it's doable if you are prepared a little bit beforehand. And then you have things about like the Pay Anywhere and these POS Lite is all of them have 2 different modes, the retail mode or the simple terminal mode. And if you don't want to use all the bells and whistles, that terminal mode may be the best way to do it. Even, it's just making sure that you understand what they really want, and then they have the ability. That's why I think it's a great gateway, for lack of a better term, gateway drug to get you into POS. A little bit of a teaser to be able to, hey, let's get you in this before we hit you with the hard stuff. Okay, no, not that. But we get you into the opportunity to do you start a little POS Lite so you can get into the big POS. So you get to the big things. And you may never want to, because maybe you're fine just doing POS Lite. But at the end of the day, as we always say, POS Lite, as I like to call it, in 5 years, 7 years, somewhere in there, that's all there's going to be. We're going to, these dumb devices are just going away. In fact, the companies who haven't made new devices, they're barely able to stay afloat. And so they're going to go bankrupt and be gone because they haven't figured out how to make smart devices and make these POS Lite. Danny, what do you say is the feature on Pay Anywhere that people like the most in these, POS Lite devices?
Ooh, I would say a couple of them, really. I mean, the ability to do SMS text and email receipts is really cool, keeping things paperless. 2 of the 3 smart devices can do the sign on the screen. Actually, I think all 3 can do the sign on the screen, but 2 of the 3 actually have a customer-facing device. Those are really popular reasons why merchants like these systems. But then they can also do everything that they need it to do. And I think what she's referring to there which is doable, right? It's doable, is that we got to think that merchants and partners, as you're getting these systems in place, they're almost a DIY type of system, right? I mean, these merchants have to really put the settings on the way they want it to be done, add the inventory and the price points the way they want it to be done. Where when you've got some of these more robust POS systems, everything that the merchant wants is built in, programmed, ready to go. And really they're just training on how to use and the functionality of the system. So, a lot of those challenges and the doable comment, which I totally agree with, is because not only are you trying to learn the system, but you're building it and customize it specific for the merchant. But that's why, it's very user-friendly and it's customizable. But it can be a challenge sometimes depending on how much you're wanting to use and all the different features you've got.
Great thoughts. All right, we're going to close it up so you guys can get some of your closing thoughts and ideas together. We want to remind you that every week, we are here Monday through Friday around 10 a.m. We go live on the PayProTech page. We go live on the My PayProTech group. We go live, if you're friends with me, see, I go live there. I go live over the YouTube PayProTech Daily page. We go live over on Twitter. Thank you. Peace out to the 10 people that watched yesterday. Thanks so much for doing that. We'd love for you to watch us live, but if you're watching this afterwards, anytime watch it, or if you're just watching the little bit and piece and you caught the fifth one and got the end, we're so thankful you're joining us. If you guys have topics or questions or ideas, put them in the comments. Email me at nmanahan@payprotech.com. As we close out, everybody, what is our advice, our challenge, our inspiration for the last day of April? May 1st is tomorrow. How are we ready to start taking the mountain and going through May? Because doggone it, I'm done with April. Let's move to May. What do you guys think?
Jen?
I couldn't agree more. I'm super excited for May. April has been the most challenging month, I think, for everybody. We've got a lot to look forward to. We see a lot of the markets starting to open up, which we're really excited about. And PayProTech, we've got some things up our sleeve that we're going to be rolling out in the next week or so. So be on the lookout. Get ready. You've got your rest, so get ready to get out and put some work in May. It's going to be crazy.
All right, how about Jenn Sales? What advice do you give as we close off this wonderful Thursday, the last day of April?
The same with Danny. I'm done with April. Let's get May. Let's get going. Wake up every day. Have a positive attitude. It will change your day. Know that you can go after anything, any deal, any sale, and always know that PayProTech team is here for you. We want to make you rich. We want you to sell, and that's what my job is.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. Brian Linke, what is your advice and challenge for everybody?
How come I got to go third on this?
I think we all know why, Brian.
My advice today, as it is just about every day, is you're right. April is behind us. May's ahead of us. I realize when I'm talking to partners every single day, it's difficult to do this on the phone, and especially for a guy like myself. If you're not out there in front of merchants, it's hard to sell this. It's not impossible to do because we've got plenty of partners that do it. But if you're just a regular agent, I know how difficult it is. All I can say is start getting excited. I think this thing is winding down. I think we're getting out of it, and just let's go back to work.
I love it. All right, everybody. This has been another high five as we close it out. We are so thankful you joined with us. And as we switch over to our theme song, thank you so much for being there. High five, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. May 1st. May is here. Woo!
It's all the same.
Woo!
We've got sports, entertainment, sales, and marketing.
Jenn Sales, everybody.
Woo!
Jenn Sales.
Way to go, Jenn Sales.
Jenn Sales.
We've got it all covered, yeah. The high five.
Yeah.